Hello all, this is the 1510 pre-planning meeting for UX and product. And today we're going to start off by walking or looking at any SUS impacting issues. So let me share that screen. Okay, this is S2s. Don't care about respond. All right. Composition analysis. I think I pinged people on this one. Okay, I don't have time 15.9. And Russell looks like he was going to take it out now for the docs work. Sam, what are your thoughts on this for 1510?
Sorry. Can you go back up to the title and remind me which one this is? Yeah, so Russell's taking this on in 15.9, but just the documentation piece. So
Right.
the other pieces here, I think you're mostly concerned with the sus impacting aspect of this, and that would just be
Right.
the documentation. Steps 2 and 3 there are just basically, cleanup work in the code itself. It's not impacting any users in any way. It's
Okay.
just kind of cleaning things up. So
whenever that happens, it'll just.
or sorry, number 3. Yeah. So 1 and 2 are, I said it a little bit wrong, but 1 and 2 are documentation. Number 3 is just some code cleanup. So Russell's going to take items 1 and 2. And I don't know when number 3 is going to get scheduled. It could be a while.
But it's nothing any user would ever see.
Correct. It's just cleaning up some code.
Okay. All right. That works for me.
So yeah, that'll hopefully get done this milestone in 15.9.
Michael, Connor. Actually, I don't know if Connor's here.
I'm trying to recall what our action item was with this. I know we had talked about it during our team sync, and I think it really came down to some sort of development work that needed to happen in terms of how error messages are communicated first. I can't remember specifically what the timing was or what the next steps were. So I can definitely look into it and circle back if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. At least so we can get an idea of when this will be accomplished, because 4 weeks ago, generally, I think the SLAs for S1s are between 30 and 60 days.
Okay. Yeah, and I know the person that's assigned to it right now, Yannick, is out on parental leave, but only for a couple weeks. So I'm guessing probably isn't actively being worked on.
Okay. So grab. Whoops, put that in the wrong place just because I happen to see someone right in there. All right, well, that's all we got for SUS. Let us move on to compliance, if anything. Let me share another screen. Does anyone know how to edit issues in this view? In the
I was
non-markdown view?
trying to formatting it to remove a line, but I'm not able to. You can
Yeah.
just cancel.
Like whenever there's a comment, I don't know how to overwrite the comment.
I think it's a behavior. They've tried to expose the comments because originally when this was rolled out, it wouldn't show them and you could delete a bunch of stuff.
Right. I like the
I
idea
honestly-
of seeing it, but I can't like
I
get,
wouldn't,
I can't get behind it to write.
yeah,
So the
I
hack
wouldn't use
is
this
if you
view
copy a
with
URL
tables.
there,
I think you should log a P1 sus impacting issue.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Editing
So
URLs in this view with tables also doesn't work very well. It adds extra like characters. It tries to overhelp. So when you save it, it re-renders as it's broken.
Yeah, and then since it's somebody's already edited using it, all we have is HTML. And it's just way too hard to see. All right, well, I guess I'll find someone to talk to about that. Maybe there's a trick. Maybe you have to hold some sort of shortcut key in order to make it work. All right. Let's look at compliance. Anyone have any thoughts on compliance? I'm gonna assume that means we don't have any work for it.
I'm pretty sure there is work. Derek posted and said that he's maybe in and out today, so I think he hasn't had a chance to put it in there. I'm pretty sure they're working on making it easier to manage compliance framework labels across all of their projects. I think they have a big UX thing running for that, but I'm guessing they just didn't have time to post that in here.
Yeah, I know that Alex is traveling back to Australia for the next couple days. All right. Composition analysis. No UX needs for this milestone.
Yeah,
Who knows
nothing
what?
there. Other than just like the past ones, we might still need like some minor things from Michael Fingman every once in a while as we work through the actual development for the VS Code extension. But other than that, like there's nothing big that we have planned.
So if there is a carryover from the VS Code stuff, do you want it to go in here?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know of anything right now, so I don't even have anything to link to.
Okay,
So it's just only if something comes up, I guess.
right. All right, that works.
Uh,
Anything for DAST, Michael?
Yeah, so sorry, I haven't updated the table yet. So there is one issue that came up that I think will make it into 1510, or I'll start working on 1510 around adding owners to security profiles and adding some restrictions around who can edit those. So that will be sort of the main issue. And then other than that, I'll be just kind of continuing work on the sub issues of security profiles, trying to make progress and finalize some of those page level details.
Add those in whenever you are able. Are those on the other issue?
The security profiles ones are the other issue that I had mentioned around adding owners to profiles. That is separate. That came up during this milestone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Security policies.
Yeah, so this is continuation from 15.9. Our main focus is just getting the designs ready for this UX theme, allow compliance enforcement of security policies. It's really been coming up as a big topic lately, so it'll be really helpful to have some designs there that we can show.
Yeah, I'm already start working on this, and I think yeah, we'll continue on the design. Maybe like a research plan next milestone will be done. So that's
Okay,
a
yeah,
plan.
that sounds
We'll have a
good.
design and research plan for next milestone.
Yep, that sounds great.
Okay.
So for static analysis, I haven't had a chance to touch base with Connor this week on anything new that may have come up. I think there may be one small issue that I'm forgetting about, but other than that, I think it's just continuing work on trying to move profiles forward for that as well.
Red insights.
Typing some things in there. So the main focus is now that the Threat Insights team is we're right on the cusp of turning on some of the functionality for this big re-architecture that we've had going on for forever. That's been blocking a lot of things. We are able to pivot back to some of the near-term work that got delayed that is blocked by that. So it's kind of the main focus you see there. If you drill into the that theme around the efficiency, these are things that have been held up for a while. Many of them are already designed. So these are like some of the bulk actions. This is things like more specific reasons for dismissals. A lot of this is already designed, although some of the designs are spread out over a long enough time period and multiple issues that Becca is now going through and cleaning them up for consistency in across like the MR, the pipeline, and the vulnerability report, and then some of the advanced filtering and search work that she's doing will be included in that. A stretch on this, I have shared the issue with Becca. We haven't had a chance to sync on it yet for 15.9, but there's also in the notes I linked, there is an MVC for group level dependency page, more of a concept and a low hanging fruit than anything else, but the database backed dependency information is already being generated. We just don't have a way to expose it yet in the UI without taking a step back in functionality on the project level because we don't have all the same license information and the vulnerability alert data. So in lieu of waiting for that at the project level, we want to just instead add something that's less functional at the group level because there isn't one today. This should be more or less a copy of what's already there. This will be kind of a holding place for a more holistic project to actually look at what needs to be done here. And that's going to involve some amount of research.
Okay, so this will be a research issue, but stretch if you happen to have time.
That one is actually not a research issue. That's more, I want Becca to take the very crappy mockup that I made in browser tools and paste it in there and help me with like, what's the bare minimum that we can put in here? So essentially this removed like the license and the vulnerability information because we won't have that available. And it's kind of like, what else can we include or cut to get something super simple? It does solve a need right now because there is no way to easily grab all the dependencies for every project inside of a group or subgroup. So this would actually be something valuable to customers. It's just when it comes to what comes after this in terms of filtering, search, combining it with the license compliance page, that's where the research comes. So this is kind of a small stopgap to take advantage of engineering work already done, provide some additional value while we wait and do the more longer term deep research.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what our capacity is for the kind of research that we'll end up needing for that in the next milestone or two.
Capacity in terms of working with Michael Oliver, or capacity with you and her?
Depends on which way we want to go with the study. If we go all the way back to, we may need to do like a jobs to be done exploration for this one, because I don't think we have a good enough sense of what this needs to be.
Then we'll just need to get that added to probably non-related table. And as a nice to have. Right, you said stretch.
I think the JTBD thing could be 1510. I'm not concerned about that, but that MVC in particular, yeah, that would be, I guess, non-theme stretch.
Okay, research. Do we have any needs, anything going on for research?
Right now, for what's going on, I'm doing this will be hopefully the last recruitment wave for the security policy jobs to be done. We changed the screener from when we first did it, so it's much better. And we just made some changes to the script based off of what we've learned so far. So if we get another 4 people or so, that would be ideal. I'm meeting with Caitlin, the recruiter, after this because the upcoming research for secure will probably mean that recruitment will be more challenging. So I'm going to talk with her over potential things that we can do now to help with it, including a possible like generalizable security screener that we can use for all of our groups. So hopefully that won't take too long to get that screener going and have some people collected. And then once we do, we can keep track of them more, because as we start doing more research, we'll accidentally be using the same people again, and we want to make sure we don't do that too much. So we want to track the people that we do use in the past. There's also some limits to how many times we can pay people in a calendar year, but we won't. That's like $700, $600 or something like that. The more pressing thing is just to make sure we don't ask the same, like use a very small group of people and assume that it's generalizable. So I'll meet with her today and update everyone here. And for the screener, I will probably want the PMs here to at least take a look at it, because it could be future screeners that we will also use for future studies. So there'll be somewhat generalizable questions for each group, as well as specific questions that we can use. And hopefully when we do that, then we can do jobs to be done research for both compliance as well as threat insights if we want to do that. Because recruiting will be the only real challenges that I will have in the next couple of months for those research projects.
So this is basically putting together a pool of users and tracking them in a more formalized way.
Yeah, basically. For secure people specifically. The recruiting team does do various levels of this, but for secure people, it's non-existent, essentially, because we have to go to multiple different pools right now to get secure people, so it's really hard to track them. So, yes. And it shouldn't hopefully take too long, especially once I get the screener out there. It'll just be collecting people, and because we're not actually using the people immediately, they're just going to be sitting there, and we're going to be able to use them whenever we want. So yeah.
Okay. So you're going to try and put that together in 15.9 so you can do the research in 15.10.
Basically, yeah. I'll see how long this is recruiting, and it's so some of this is like processes that the recruitment team is trying to build out currently with research ops, and some of it is not. So I will see how much of it will be able to be efficient and not, and how much of it I'll be able to do independently, and how much of it I'll need her help with. But yeah, hopefully 15.9 and done by 15.10.
Yeah, I think that'll be nice. You know, I've heard people talking about wanting something like that for a while.
If we do actually, now just to say this, if we do want to use the TAMs or whatever, I forget, that's perfectly fine. We can do research outside of that, like outside of our typical recruiting process, just fine. And I have the bandwidth for it. So if we want to plan research as well, I can do that sort of thing, just not the literal conducting of the interviews right now because of the recruiting stuff.
When you say the TAMs, do you mean use their contacts?
Yeah.
And what would determine if we go that route versus waiting for you to do this new recruiting thing?
If we want to, basically. The risk assessment was one that we are already considering possibly using the TAMs for, just because of the enterprise level like knowledge that they will have. But basically just that.
Okay. So is it a timing thing though? Like it's going to take too long to recruit otherwise, so we just bust it out.
Not for, so for solution validation, no, it'll be fine because we can do the easy recruiting, but for problem validation, yes. So for the jobs to be done, if we do want to do it faster, we can use the TAMs and that will be faster than otherwise recruiting. But solution validation stuff should be fine because we use user testing and we're not really asking those people to do too much. It's the people that we're asking to do interviews that we're having the hardest times recruiting, especially getting reliably accurate answers from them, in terms of like who their personas are and stuff like that. So it's kind of more that system that we're having a problem with. The user testing stuff and solution validation should be fine.
Okay. All right, that works. It'll be nice to have that. Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions or comments about research needs coming up in 1510? Okay. OKRs. So we have a few coming up as the new quarter begins tomorrow. Andy, you got the first two?
Yep. So starting in on getting teams up and running with creating UX themes. So we're going to be working with all the UX managers on how to create UX themes. And then that will be followed up with how refinement in our documentation, generally to like, divorce UX themes from UX roadmaps. We want people working thematically, like that's the end goal here. And then we will be working with designers on how to satisfy the needs of a UX theme and all that stuff. So that's our first one.
Okay, this won't impact secure and govern though, right? We're not going to go back and reevaluate themes. That's not the plan.
No.
Okay.
Most likely not, but 'tis new year. So
eventually we'll have to do that, but not for this. Okay, cool.
No.
Do you know what group you're doing first?
I just went alphabetically, so it kind of depends on when the managers go through their own portion of getting their two groups that they're responsible for to create these. So only been the last 2 weeks of the OKR, we will see that happen.
All right. The next one, cross stage MR redesign OKR.
Yep, this one's on hold. We're waiting feedback from David on the direction we've kind of laid forth. And we also need to understand the timing from Create on their redesign. So if it's going to happen or not.
Okay, the guidance I got from Valerie about the David feedback was if you don't have it by the first, just move on.
Okay, so then our next gate to pass through is what experience to design for today or the prospective future from create. So that's our next step, is to get a firm date on when they intend to roll out their new redesign.
Mhm. Okay. Do you have anything set up with them?
Not yet. I was going to meet with Marcel and Pedro when the quarter started.
And Andy, is this what you and I saw Michael, your design for like the inline vulnerability findings? Is this all just a continuation of that same work?
Exactly.
This is meant to be the finalization of that work. So
Gotcha.
we end the KR with the final design that needs to then be figured out how to implement. It'll be designed, tested, and ready to build.
Awesome.
On that testing, and do you still want to do the UM UX light similar to the benchmarking metrics that are being collected for the various groups for the
Yeah.
redesign?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna pretty much like rinse and repeat our solution validation script with some changes depending on how the thing changes.
Got it.
The design changes, yes.
Too early for everyone.
Yeah.
A little early for me. All right.
So what is UM?
It's just
UM UX.
2 questions. They're easy to
It's-
use and
It's sus-like.
something else
It's
I
like
forget.
the
Yeah,
sus.
yeah.
But it's another.
Much like SUS, what does it stand for?
That's a good question.
No one knows what these things stand for anymore.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
These things were
Unique
created
management,
like in the 80s.
Unilever, Xerox.
User management.
User
You know, everything I've
experience.
read. Usability metric for user experience.
There you go. Nice job.
It's used by measuring you over the last like 10 years. It's supposed to be a little bit more modern version of sus that actually understands software as opposed to hardware, because sus was originally made for hardware.
Don't make me sad. Don't tell me things like that.
UX borrows from every medium it can in order to
It's true.
figure out how to make it work.
Including out of your butt.
It's a good medium.
All right. There's also another KR that we've been working towards for several months now. It has come to fruition, and we'll have to deal with it. It's actually fairly light for us. One issue per team. So SAST has one, policy has one, and then Threat Insights has this simple just update the docs one. So this is our part of the overall KR, which is trying to get 26 usability issues. So we'll do our part and see where the chips fall. So just be aware of it for you all when it comes to planning. Any questions about that?
Just want to say, since that came from my benchmarking thing, that we're the only group that when we did the benchmarking, we already had established processes for UX themes. So if you do need to come up with like a way to say that we have done more issues for usability for benchmarking, the fact that we're organized shouldn't count against us. So we could incorporate our UX themes, because I think all of the themes were added to, at least partially, maybe all but one, were added to from the benchmarking results. So in your meetings, if you want to say that we also have other stuff, we do.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Because what would have been a couple, like probably 5 more issues are just incorporated into our themes and will be incorporated into our designs when we work on them like we typically would. So
Just repave the roads instead of filling the potholes.
All right, that's all we got. We're a little bit over time. Seems pretty straightforward though. Continue updating the tables if you can figure out how. And that's really sad to have to say that. I'll figure out who owns this and
I'll
talk
be
to them.
going to W3 schools again.
Right.
How
It's not
to
even
use
that.
tables.
Yeah, I guess if you went into markdown mode, you might be able to figure it out. All right. Try to update the tables. I'll check into who owns this so we can ask if there's like a workaround that we're just not aware of. And we'll be ready for 1510 in 2 weeks.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.